Metabolism is a word that gets thrown around a lot. I'm sure you've heard it. Maybe you don't really understand what it's referring to. It's kind of this nebulous thing that even in research, it can be kind of confusing and hard to define. So when we think about metabolism, I like to think about the way that our body brings in the energy and the building blocks that it needs and how it utilizes it to actually perform the functions that it needs to perform. We eat food that has a lot of energy stored in the chemical bonds that hold your food together. And also the food itself is made up of these smaller components that are necessary and useful for our body to be able to function. So you kind of have two sides of metabolism. You have catabolism, which is the process of breaking down these larger macromolecules, so things like maybe carbohydrates, fats, or proteins, into their smaller building blocks, also extracting the energy from those molecules, and also releases energy in the form of ATP. And then you have the anabolic side of metabolism, or anabolism, and that is taking those smaller components and that energy that's released when you break down those bonds and repackaging it into whatever function the cell or the tissue needs. So you have these two sides of metabolism, catabolism and anabolism. And together, that is what we're kind of referring to when we talk about metabolism. And so the energy story here is a really big and important part of understanding why energy matters. Well, energy is required to run all of the functions in our body. Not just the brain, but every tissue in the body requires energy, and we use it in the form of ATP primarily. So making ATP from the foods that we eat is a really important part of the metabolic process.